Satamor, the tribe that dances with death to prove manhood deep in the dense green maze of the Amazon rainforest lives the Satamor tribe, a people whose traditions have remained untouched by the outside world for centuries. Their name is whispered with a mix of awe and fear, tied to a ritual so brutal that it marks the boundary between childhood and manhood with excruciating pain. From the moment a boy is born into the Satamor, his future is shaped by this terrifying trial, a rite that tests not only his body, but his spirit and courage. The tribe's isolation in the thick jungle preserves their way of life untouched by modern influences. Their villages, woven into the fabric of the forest, rely on a delicate balance of nature and ancient customs. Each member plays a defined role, bound by strict social rules passed down through generations. This structure is essential, for it holds together a community that faces both the wild dangers of the jungle and the internal demands of their own traditions. At the center of their culture lies the infamous bullet and ceremony, a test so severe it has become the tribe's most feared and respected ritual. Young boys, often as young as 7 or 8, are trained to endure a punishment that seems designed by nature itself to break their will. Wearing gloves filled with bullet ants whose stings are said to cause pain likened to being shot, the boys face a grueling ordeal that lasts hours. Entrance through this torment is not simply a physical challenge, but a spiritual passage. Those who survive emerge transformed, recognized as men ready to take on the responsibilities of their people. This brutal ritual carries with it a deep cultural meaning. The pain is a form of communication with the spiritual world, a test of bravery that earns respect and status within the tribe. It serves to bond the boys with their ancestors and the forest that sustains them, blending physical suffering with symbolic rebirth. The ritual also preserves the tribe's identity, a stark reminder of their heritage in a rapidly changing world. Yet, beneath the surface of tradition lies a darker legacy. The ceremony's extreme nature has sparked curiosity and horror beyond the tribe's borders, but within the Satamor, it remains a sacred passage, vital to their survival as a people. It is both a cruel punishment and a profound rite of passage, a harsh lesson in pain, endurance, and belonging. As the forest whispers round them, the Satamor hold tight to these ancient customs, guarding secrets that many outside will never understand. But the bullet and glove is only the beginning. Deeper rituals and beliefs lie ahead, revealing the full extent of a culture shaped by extremes born from the heart of the Amazon itself. The bullet and glove ceremony is, unlike any other rite of passage known to the world, a brutal test where agony becomes a gateway to manhood. At its core, the ritual involves young boys wearing gloves woven tightly with the world's deadliest insects, bullet ants. These ants, no bigger than a human thumb, deliver stings so excruciating that survivors describe the pain as electric, fiery, and unrelenting, comparable to being shot, burned, and poisoned all at once. The agony can last for hours, tormenting the wearer long after the ants are removed. Before the ritual begins, the ants are captured and carefully woven into gloves made from leaves and plant fibers, their stingers pointing inward. The boys slide their hands into these living torture chambers, knowing that every sting will sear through their skin and muscle. The pain is immediate and intense, igniting a fire that blazes deep beneath the surface of flesh and bone. Nerves scream, limbs shake uncontrollably, and many collapse into convulsions. Yet, surrender is not an option. The boy must endure, biting his lip against screams, swallowing nausea, and pushing through the haze of torment. But this is not mere punishment. Within Satamor culture, the pain is a sacred language. It speaks to the ancestors, the forest, spirits, and the very essence of what it means to be human in a world ruled by nature's harsh laws. Enduring the bullet and glove is a demonstration of strength, courage, and spiritual readiness. The pain strips away childhood innocence, burning, a mark of maturity that forever separates boys from men. The ritual does not end with just one ordeal. To be recognized as a true warrior, a boy must repeat the ceremony multiple times, sometimes as many as 20. Each session leaves its trace, permanent scars from swollen stings, damaged nerves, and a body that remembers pain long after the ceremony is done. These marks are badges of honor, visible proof of endurance and resilience, symbols that command respect and trust within the tribe, spiritually. The bullet and glove ceremony is believed to connect the wearer with powerful forces. The intense pain acts as a bridge between the physical world and the spiritual realm. It is through suffering that the boys communicate with ancestral spirits, seeking protection and guidance for the challenges ahead. This communion shapes their identity, grounding them firmly in the tribe's traditions and the unforgiving wilderness they call home. Yet, the ceremony's horrors extend beyond physical suffering. The mental toll is profound. To withstand hours of excruciating pain demands a mindset forged in fear, determination, and an unbreakable will. Those who fail to endure face shame and exclusion, stripped of the chance to claim full membership in their community. The ritual is a test of the mind as much as the body, a trial by fire that prepares young men for the hardships and responsibilities of tribal life. In the world of the Satamor, pain is not weakness but power. It transforms fear into courage, fragility into strength. The bullet and glove is a savage rite woven with meaning, one that reveals the raw intersection of nature's cruelty and human endurance. This ritual is the beating heart of the tribe's identity, a vivid reminder that in their world, to suffer is to become whole. From this crucible of agony, the boys emerge reborn, scarred, changed, and ready to face the unforgiving wild that shaped them. But the bullet and glove is only the beginning of a culture where extreme beliefs and punishments govern every step of life, revealing a world far darker in the Satamor tribe. Order is maintained through a strict code of conduct, one enforced with punishments as harsh as the jungle surrounding them. Disobedience, disrespect, or breaking sacred laws are met with swift and often brutal consequences. These punishments serve not only to correct behavior, but to protect the fragile balance between the tribe, their ancestors, and the unforgiving forest they depend on. Social exile is among the most feared penalties. To be cast out from the tribe is to be severed from identity, family, and survival itself. In a world where the jungle offers no mercy, isolation can mean death. Those who disobey risk losing the support of their community and the protection of ancestral spirits. This fear of abandonment enforces conformity and loyalty, keeping the tribe tightly bound by invisible chains. Physical punishments run deep and often leave lasting scars both on the body and on the spirit. Lashings with tough vines, ritual, beatings, and even forced participation in painful ceremonies serve as harsh reminders of the consequences of rebellion. The pain inflicted is designed not merely to punish, but to humble, breaking pride and reinforcing respect for tradition. In some cases, offenders may be subjected to public punishments, where the whole tribe witnesses their suffering. This collective witnessing strengthens communal bonds through shared judgment and fear. The tribe's elders play a vital role in administering justice. Their decisions carry the weight of ancestral wisdom, blending spiritual beliefs with practical necessity. Punishments are not random acts of cruelty, but calculated measures to preserve the tribe's survival. They are reminders that every member must uphold the delicate customs passed down for generations, customs that ensure harmony with the forest and the spirits within. Children learn early that defiance has no place here. The threat of punishment shapes behavior from the younger stage, embedding respect and obedience as core values for the Satamor. Discipline is not just about control, it is about survival. The jungle demands unity, and division caused by disrespect could spell disaster. Yet, beneath the harshness lies a complex understanding of justice. Punishment is balanced with forgiveness and the chance for redemption. Often tied to rituals of cleansing or reconciliation, this cycle of judgment and renewal strengthens the tribe's resilience, allowing them to face external dangers together through these unforgiving laws. The Satamor maintain an order that sustains their identity in a hostile world. Their justice system is a stark reminder that in this remote corner of the Amazon, survival depends not only on bravery, but on unwavering loyalty and respect for the traditions that hold them together. The weight of these punishments echoes through the tribe's rituals, preparing the stage for the spiritual beliefs that shape their every action, and thought beliefs as powerful and unsettling as forests surrounding the Satamor is not just a place of trees and animals. It is a living realm inhabited by spirits both protective and terrifying. These unseen forces shape every aspect of the tribe's existence, weaving a spiritual web that blurs the line between the natural and supernatural. Fear of these spirits governs behavior, guiding rituals, decisions, and even the harsh punishments that keep the tribe in balance. Among the Satamor, every tree, river, and animal is believed to hold a spirit. Some spirits are guardians, watching over the tribe and the forest's delicate balance. Others are vengeful or restless souls, quick to punish disrespect or harm to the land. This spiritual world is as real and present as the dense canopy overhead, always watching, always judging. The tribe's connection to ancestral spirits runs deep. These are not distant memories, but active forces that influence daily life. Offerings of food, tobacco, and crafted items are made regularly to appease them. Ceremonies honoring these ancestors are intense, involving chanting, dancing, and sometimes frightening displays meant to communicate respect and fear. The spirits are believed to protect the tribe's health, fertility, and success, but they also demand strict obedience and reverence. This spiritual system instills a constant tension between respect and fear. The Satamor understand that angering a spirit could bring illness, bad luck, or death, not just to individuals, but to entire families or villages. Because of this, many rituals appear macabre to outsiders: body markings, face paint resembling fearsome animals, and ceremonies involving self-inflicted pain or fasting. These acts serve to demonstrate submission and devotion, keeping dark forces at bay. One of the most chilling aspects is the belief in spirits that punish those who betray the tribe or break sacred laws. These spirits are thought to follow the offender relentlessly, haunting them until they seek forgiveness through ritual purification or are cast out entirely. This fear shapes a culture where social cohesion is vital, and personal actions ripple across the community through spiritual consequences. The forest itself is seen as a sentient being, alive with power and mystery. The Satamor move through it with reverence, knowing that every step can disturb an ancient force. Hunting, gathering, and building all require rituals to honor the spirits of the land, or risk inviting their wrath. This relationship keeps the tribe intimately tied to their environment, blending survival with spirituality. In the world of the Satamor, the line between fear and faith is thin and ever-shifting. Their sacred beliefs create reality, where spirits watch, punish, and protect a realm where unseen forces command respect through war and terror. These beliefs shape not only their rituals, but the very fabric of their existence, preparing them for the trials and punishments that uphold their ancient way of life. Beyond these shadows lies a deeper truth: how these spirits and beliefs intertwine with the brutal trials that define the tribe's identity and survival. Pain in the Scythian Tribe is a language spoken deeply and shared widely, an unspoken bond that knits individuals into a powerful brotherhood. The bullet and ritual is not just a trial of endurance. It is a crucible where loyalty is forged through suffering, creating ties that last a lifetime. This shared agony transforms boys into men connected by a profound understanding of sacrifice and strength. As the young warriors endure hours of searing pain, they are not alone. Elders and peers gather round, witnessing and supporting each other through the ordeal. This collective experience builds a network of trust and respect, uniting generations in a cycle of endurance. The scars left by the bullet tents are visible, proof of this connection, worn like badges of honor that declare belonging and bravery. This bond is essential for the tribe's survival. In the unforgiving Amazon jungle, life depends on cooperation and shared resilience. The ritual's intensity teaches lessons beyond physical pain, discipline, courage, and the willingness to face danger together. These lessons ripple through the tribe, strengthening social cohesion and preparing young men to protect their families and culture. The pain endured becomes a symbol of identity. Each scar, each sting, tells a story of perseverance that echoes through generations. Fathers, brothers, and sons share this brutal rite, linking past, present, and future. It ensures the continuity of traditions that define the Scythian, even as outside forces threaten their existence. More than a test, the bullet and ritual acts as a rite of passage that shapes the tribe's destiny. It reinforces values essential for survival, resilience in the face of hardship, and an unyielding commitment to the community. In a world where every day presents challenges, this shared suffering creates warriors ready to face both the dangers of the jungle and the pressures of a changing world. Through pain, the Scythian find strength. Through shared torment, they build unbreakable bonds, and through these bonds, their culture endures alive, fierce and defiant amid the wild heart of the Amazon. The bullet and ritual is more than tradition. It is the lifeblood of a tribe that survives because its people suffer together. Yet, this fierce brotherhood is only part of a larger story, one where ancient beliefs and harsh punishments shape every aspect of Scythian life, guiding their future as much as their past. The relentless spread of modern life presses heavily on the Scythian, whose ancient world hangs in fragile balance. Roads, logging, and outside influences threaten to erase centuries of tradition, forcing the tribe to confront a harsh reality: how to preserve brutal rituals like the bullet and ceremony while adapting to a rapidly changing world. Younger generations face a growing divide between the fierce pride of their heritage and the lure of modern comforts. Some question the painful rites that once defined manhood, while elders fight to keep these traditions alive as a vital link to identity and survival. This tension creates deep conflict within the tribe between honoring the past and facing an uncertain future. Outside threats bring not only cultural pressure, but also environmental destruction. The forest that sustains the Scythian's way of life is shrinking, disrupting hunting grounds and sacred sites. As the jungle recedes, so do the spirits that watch over them, eroding the spiritual foundation of their existence. Yet, despite these challenges, the tribe's determination remains. Fierce efforts to preserve their customs are met with resilience, and adaptation rituals are performed openly to educate outsiders, and elders work to pass knowledge carefully to the next generation. The Scythian strive to keep their identity alive, even as they navigate the pressures of the modern world. This struggle is not unique, but it is urgent. The survival of the Scythian depends on a delicate balance, holding onto painful traditions that define them while embracing change enough to endure. Their story is one of loss and fight, fear and hope, in a jungle where the past and future clash beneath the canopy shadow. Scythian, the shocking rituals of the Amazon's fiercest tribe deep in the tangled heart of the Brazilian Amazon. The Scythian tribe lives by rules carved from centuries of survival and sacred tradition. Their name alone echoes, like a whispered legend among explorers and anthropologists, fierce warriors bound to a world that remains almost untouched by modern time. Hidden beneath dense canopy and shifting shadows, the tribe's customs feel like a secret language unwritten, but fiercely enforced. A code that shapes every breath and step. The Scythian's world is one where pain and honor intertwine, where strength is not just physical but spiritual, and through rituals that challenge the body and soul. Outsiders who have glimpsed their ceremonies speak of rites both brutal and mesmerizing. Tests of endurance that push young men to their limits. These rituals are far from simple traditions. They are vivid expressions of identity, binding the tribe together across generations. Their language is unique, carrying sounds that reflect the dense, wild forest they call home. But it is their social customs that define the tribe's core. Each member knows their place, their role marked by ceremonies that begin in childhood and continue into adulthood. These rites are not just about survival, they are declarations of belonging, of loyalty to a lineage that stretches back through time like the roots of the ancient trees surrounding them. Shocks ripple beneath the surface of the Scythian's life, from rites that involve the world's most painful insect sting to punishments so severe they mark the soul. This tribe challenges common ideas of what it means to endure. Their extreme customs tell stories of a people who see suffering, not as cruelty, but as a path to strength and respect. Pain becomes a language, a test, a necessary step toward becoming a full member of their world. Understanding the Scythian is to understand a world where the wildness of the forest meets the wildness of the human spirit, a place where rituals are alive, fierce, and filled with meaning that goes far beyond the surface. Their secrets have been guarded fiercely, woven into the very fabric of their existence. Yet, beneath their mystique lies a complex web of belief and survival, where every act of pain is also an act of faith. This fierce culture, rooted deep in the Amazon's shadows, sets the stage for a ritual so extreme they capture attention worldwide. Their customs force a reckoning with ideas of strength, courage, and belonging, revealing a way of life unlike any other. The rituals that define them are not simply strange traditions, they are the beating heart of a tribe that has survived. By mastering the art of endurance, the Scythian's most feared and legendary ritual is the bullet and initiation, a test of pain so intense it has earned a terrifying reputation across the Amazon. This rite of passage marks the brutal transformation of boys into men, a passage sealed through fire and agony. The bullet ant, whose sting is said to be the most painful in the insect world, becomes the unforgiving judge of courage and endurance. To begin, the young initiate must wear gloves woven tightly with leaves, their palms packed with dozens, sometimes hundreds of these deadly ants. The ants, agitated and ready, release venom that sends waves of searing pain through every nerve. The sensation is said to be like being shot repeatedly by invisible bullets, each sting igniting a fierce fire that refuses to fade for hours. The pain rages without relief, testing every fiber of the boy's strength. But this ritual is far more than physical torment. It is a passage steeped in meaning, a sacred journey into adulthood where suffering is a language of power. The intense pain breaks down the initiate's fears and weaknesses, forging a mental and spiritual toughness that will define his role within the tribe. Those who endure emerge not only as men, but as warriors ready to protect, to hunt, and to uphold the ancient customs that bind the Scythian together. The ritual demands more than endurance. It requires silence. Showing weakness or crying out is seen as failure, disowning not only the individual but the entire community. Each sting is a lesson in self-control, a brutal reminder that strength comes from within, the hands swollen and burning, become badges of honor, visible proof of courage that will be remembered for life. Pain, in this context, is not cruelty, it is the fort of identity. The bullet and initiation is a raw expression of a cultural truth, strength is. Born from suffering, it connects the young men to their ancestors and the fierce wildness of the forest that surrounds them. This extreme test is just the beginning of the Satamor's complex web of rituals, each more mysterious and unsettling than the last, for the Satamor, tattoos and body paint are far more than mere decoration. They are living symbols etched into the skin, carrying deep meanings of status, courage, and spiritual power. Each mark tells a story, a language written in pain and color that only the tribe can fully understand. These markings serve as visible badges of identity, binding individuals to their community and history. Tattooing among the Satamor is a ritual of entrance. Needles crafted from thorns or bones are pressed into the skin, creating patterns that sting and bleed. The pain is intentional, a mirror of the tribe's belief that true strength is earned through suffering. These scars, once healed, become permanent testaments to bravery, often signaling an individual's achievements or their passage through key rites of passage. Body paint, equally significant, is applied during ceremonies and daily life. Made from crushed seeds, minerals, and charcoal, the vivid reds, blacks, and whites transform the skin into a canvas of meaning. Each pattern carries spiritual significance, protection from malevolent spirits, connection to ancestral forces, or warnings to outsiders. In battle or ritual, these designs inspire fear and respect, reinforcing the wearer's place in the tribe's hierarchy. Beyond personal identity, these markings act as social signals. They warn enemies of a warrior's strength or alert the community to an individual's role or status. They also serve as a kind of tribal law written on flesh, reminding everyone of the rules and values that maintain order. Those without marks may be seen as outsiders or less worthy, underscoring how tightly woven these symbols are into the tribe's social fabric. The tattoos and paint are a language of survival, telling stories of pain endured and victories won. They honor ancestors and bind the present to a sacred past. In this way, the Satamor's body art is not just skin deep, it is the beating heart of their cultural identity, an unspoken oath carried visibly by every member. As the tribe's physical marks convey strength and history, their punishments echo the same harsh principles, ensuring that order is kept through fear and pain. Justice within the Satamor tribe is a force both feared and respected, a system built on swift punishment that leaves no room for hesitation or mercy. When tribal laws are broken, consequences are harsh and immediate, designed not just to punish but to protect the delicate balance that holds the community together. Pain and isolation become tools of survival, shaping behavior through fear and respect. Physical punishment is among the most common forms of justice. Offenders may face lashings or other painful measures, chosen carefully to teach lessons without destroying the individual. These punishments serve as brutal reminders that the tribe's rules are absolute and that breaking them endangers not only the guilty, but the entire group. The pain inflicted is meant to heal the social wound by restoring order through suffering. Beyond the physical, social exile stands as one of the most severe penalties. Those cast out lose the protection of the tribe and are left vulnerable to the dangers of the forest. Exile means separation from family, tradition, and the spiritual bonds that define the Satamor identity. It is a punishment that goes beyond the body, stripping away a person's place in the world and cutting them off from the tribe's collective strength. This system of justice reflects a harsh but deeply practical worldview. The Satamor see their survival as tied to strict cooperation and loyalty. Any act that threatens unity, whether theft, betrayal, or disrespect, must be met with firmness. In their eyes, These punishments are not cruelty, but necessary sacrifices to maintain harmony in a world where danger is constant. The fear of punishment also serves as a powerful deterrent, reinforcing the tribe's social order without the need for endless conflict. It binds the community in shared understanding. Survival depends on discipline, endurance, and respect for the ancient laws. The brutal justice meted out to wrongdoers is a harsh echo of the tribe's belief that strength and survival come through pain. As punishment shapes behavior, so to do spiritual beliefs guide the Satamor's relationship with the unseen forces that govern life and death. The Satamor live in a world where the boundary between the living and the spirit realm is thin and ever-shifting. Their beliefs are woven tightly into every moment, shaping how they understand life, death, and the mysteries beyond. Powerful spirits, guardians of the forest and ancestors of the tribe are both protectors and feared. Forces that demand respect. Ignoring them invites disaster. Honoring them ensures survival. These spirits are believed to inhabit every part of the jungle, the trees, rivers, animals, and even the wind. The forest is not just a backdrop for a life, but a living presence. A sacred realm teeming with unseen watchers. The tribe's survival depends on maintaining harmony with these forces, a balance upheld through rituals that reach beyond the physical world. These ceremonies often involve chanting, dance, and offerings designed to speak directly to the spirits, asking for guidance, protection, or forgiveness. Healing practices among the Satamor also carry the spiritual weight. Illness is not always seen as a mere physical ailment, but as a sign of spiritual imbalance or a disturbance caused by angry spirits. Shamans, acting as the intermediaries, perform ceremonies that blend herbal medicine with ritual magic, invoking ancestral powers to restore health. These healing rites are as much about reconnecting with the tribe's spiritual roots as they are about curing the body. Death, too, is enveloped in these beliefs. The passage from life to the afterlife is a journey guided by rituals meant to honor the deceased and protect the living. The spirits of ancestors remain close, influencing the living world and requiring ongoing respect through offerings and ceremonies. Failing to honor them risks bringing misfortune or illness to the tribe. This spiritual worldview shapes the tribe's identity and everyday decisions. It creates a profound connection to the forest that is both reverent and cautious a place of life, danger, and the supernatural. The forest's shadows are not empty, but alive with spirits whose favor must be earned and whose wrath must be avoided. These deep beliefs form the unseen thread that hold the Satamor together, influencing their rituals, punishments, and the fierce endurance demanded by their rites of passage. As the tribe navigates this world of spirits and shadows, the next chapter reveals how their ancient traditions now face a fragile future under the pressure of a changing world. The ancient world of the Satamor stands at a crossroads, threatened by forces that stretch far beyond the dense Amazon forest. Modern dangers, deforestation, illegal mining, and expanding settlements slice through their land, tearing at the roots of a culture built on centuries of ritual and resilience. The very forest that once shielded them now grows fragile, its shadows shrinking under the weight of human progress. Alongside environmental threats, the tribe faces the quiet but relentless pressure of cultural assimilation. Younger generations encounter schools, technology, and outside influences that challenge their connection to tradition, the brutal rites that once defined manhood. The tattoos and body paint that told stories of bravery, and the spiritual beliefs woven into every action risk fading into memory. For many, the painful rituals seem at odds with a modern world that values comfort and safety over endurance and suffering. This tension between preserving ancient customs and adapting for survival creates a fragile balance. The Satamor wrestle with a choice: hold tightly to their extreme traditions or soften them to survive a world that no longer understands their ways. Each ritual, each punishment, each spiritual practice carries the weight of identity, but also the risk of becoming relics of a vanishing past. The tribe's struggle raises difficult questions about what it means to protect a culture. How much can change be allowed before the very essence of the Satamore is lost? And how can a people maintain their fierce pride and spiritual connection when the forest and their world are under siege? As the jungle shrinks and the outside world encroaches, the Satamore's ancient secrets hang in the balance. Their story is a powerful reminder that some of the most disturbing and extreme traditions are not just strange curiosities, but living expressions of identity fighting to survive in a rapidly changing world. The next chapter will explore the most infamous ritual that tests the very limits of human pain and endurance, the brutal bee. Bullet and initiation that shapes a boy into a man. Scythian Tribes, warriors of blood and shadows. Secrets of their darkest rituals. Scythians were nomads of the vast Eurasian steppes, warriors whose lives revolved round horses, warfare, and a fierce code of survival. Their empire stretched from the Black Sea to the edges of Central Asia, a wild expanse where only the strongest endured to outsiders. They were fearsome barbarian skilled archers who could shoot arrows while riding at full speed, striking down enemies with deadly precision. But beyond the battlefield, their customs revealed a darker, more unsettling world. In a culture ruled by strength and honor, the Scythians embraced rituals that bound them to their gods and to each other through acts of blood and pain. Their society was built on a delicate balance of loyalty and fear, where the line between respect and terror was razor thin. Shocking to many neighboring peoples, their traditions included brutal rites of passage and sacrifices that demanded the ultimate price. This was a people who believed that power was a force that lived in the blood, a force that had to be renewed through sacrifice. Warriors were not just fighters but living symbols of their tribe's vitality and connection to the divine. The horse, central to their way of life, was both a companion and an offering, its life often given to honor leaders or appease spirits. Such acts were more than cruelty. They were expressions of a worldview where life and death were intertwined in a sacred, savage dance. Even their tombs spoke of their obsession with strength beyond death. Massive burial mounds, or kurgans, held the bodies of chieftains surrounded by weapons, treasures, and the sacrificed lives of servants and horses. These tombs were meant to ensure power continued into the afterlife, a haunting reminder that for the Scythians, death was no escape from the demands of honor. This brutal and complex culture remains a chilling window into a world where glory was carved through violence and rituals more terrifying than the battlefield itself. From their blood oaths to their sacred horses, the Scythians lived and died by a code few dared to understand. A code that sets the stage for the darkest of their customs. Among the Scythians, loyalty was not a mere promise, but a sacred pact sealed in blood and fire. The most chilling proof of allegiance came through blood oaths, binding agreements that demanded absolute obedience to their chieftains. These oaths were not spoken lightly. They were forged in rituals where the blood of prized horses flowed freely, a terrifying testament to the price of loyalty in this ruthless society. The horse was more than an animal. It was the heart of Scythian life. It symbolized power, freedom, divine favor. To sacrifice such a creature was to offer the highest tribute to the gods and to the leader who held command. These rituals often began with the slaughter of a magnificent horse, its neck sliced with a sharp blade, the vivid image of the dying beast, muscles convulsing and eyes wild with pain, was a solemn reminder of the serious bond being formed. But horses were not the only offerings. Human servants or slaves were sometimes chosen to accompany their masters in death, killed in the same ritual to ensure their loyalty beyond the grave. This act transformed loyalty into a haunting, eternal obligation. The death of these servants was not merely punishment or sacrifice. It was a passage, a spiritual commitment linking the living and the dead in unbreakable chains. The blood spilled in these ceremonies was believed to carry power to protect the tribe, to curse enemies, and to sanctify the leader's authority. This violent exchange enforced a brutal social order, where breaking an oath was unthinkable, punished by exile, death, or worse, the horse sacrifice also reinforced the tribe's identity, weaving their strength and survival tightly with the land, their gods, and their rulers. These acts reveal a culture where loyalty was inseparable from terror and reverence. The sacred price paid in blood underscored a worldview that honored power above all, demanding loyalty not just in word but through sacrifice and suffering. The horse's life was a sacred currency, exchanged for trust and obedience forever, marking those who swore the oath. As the Scythians' reverence for blood extended beyond loyalty. Their macabre feasts of the dead reveal an even darker aspect of their beliefs, one that twisted death into both horror and sacred rite. Among certain Scythian tribes, death did not mark an end, but a transformation, one that blurred the line between reverence and horror. Ritual cannibalism was practiced not out of desperation, but as a deliberate and sacred act, consuming parts of fallen enemies, and sometimes even kin, was believed to transfer their strength and spirit into the living, a dark communion that united life and death in a brutal cycle. These grisly feasts served multiple purposes for warriors. Eating the flesh of their enemies was a final act of vengeance, a way to absorb their power and break their souls. It was both a warning and a claim, signaling that the victim's defeat extended beyond death. This horrifying practice sent shivers through neighboring peoples, who saw it as the ultimate expression of Scythian ferocity. Yet beneath this violent act lay a complex spiritual belief. The Scythians saw the body as a vessel of life force, one that could be passed on to strengthen the tribe. Eating flesh was a way to honor the dead, ensuring their spirit lived on inside those who remained. It was a terrifying rite of rebirth, death feeding life in a cycle as ancient as the land itself. Families sometimes partook in this practice during funerary ceremonies, consuming small portions of relatives believed to hold powerful protective qualities. These acts bound the living and dead, intertwining grief, respect, and fear in equal measure. The boundary between love and horror twisted tightly, reflecting a culture where death was never simple or peaceful. This gruesome ritual reveals the depths of Scythian belief in power and survival, a world where the sacred and the savage walked hand in hand. Their feasts of the dead were not mere acts of barbarism, but profound expressions of loyalty, vengeance, and the desperate desire to hold on to life from the horrors of the feast. The Scythians' reverence for the body transformed into a different kind of pain, the marks and scars etched into their flesh, telling stories of power and identity. For the Scythian warriors, the body was a living canvas, a sacred space where pain and power intertwined in striking displays of identity. Tattooing was far more than decoration. It was a fierce ritual that marked status, courage, and spiritual protection. Each intricate design was carved into the skin through painful incisions, then dyed with natural pigments made from soot and ash. The process itself was a trial, demanding endurance and symbolizing the warrior's readiness to face death. These tattoos told stories, images of mythical beasts, symbols of strength, and sacred patterns believed to shield the wearer from harm. The ink was soaked deep into open wounds, turning flesh into a permanent armor of spirit and courage. The scars left behind were badges of honor, worn proudly as proof of pain endured and battles fought. But tattooing was only part of the ritual. Scythians also practiced piercing and self-inflicted wounds, especially during rites of passage or before battle. Piercings adorned ears, noses, and even tongues. Each hole a symbol of dedication and a link to the tribe's spiritual world. Cutting the flesh was a painful offering to the gods, an act that fused suffering with strength, turning the body into a sacred battleground. These body rituals were woven tightly into the Scythian sense of self, the more elaborate and painful the markings, the higher the status and respect earned within the tribe. To bear these marks was to declare fearlessness and connection to ancestral spirits. To carry the tribe's history etched into one's very skin. This culture of marked flesh reveals a people for whom identity was inseparable from endurance and pain. Their tattoos and piercings were not just physical alterations, but powerful symbols of loyalty, survival, and spiritual armor, a testament to the brutal beauty of their warrior code. As the marks on their skin told stories of life and death, their burial customs took these beliefs to a haunting extreme, demanding sacrifices to accompany the dead into the afterlife. The Scythians' relationship with death was as fierce and elaborate as their life on the steppes. Their burial practices reached terrifying extremes, transforming death into a spectacle of power and devotion. Massive burial mounds, called kurgans, rose like dark monuments across the plains. Vast earthen hills concealing the final resting places of chieftains and warriors. These tombs were not mere graves, but entire worlds built for the afterlife. Inside these kurgans, the dead were laid to rest surrounded by treasures of war, weapons gleaming with sharp edges, decorated armor, and intricate horse deck. Yet the most haunting aspect was the presence of living sacrifices, servants, concubines, and sometimes even children, killed to accompany their masters beyond death. Their lives were brutally ended, meant to serve and protect in the next world as they had in this one. Horses, too, were sacrificed in staggering numbers. These noble beasts, so central to Scythian identity, were buried alongside their riders. Believed essential for swift travel and status in the afterlife, the sacrifice of animals and humans alike revealed a culture unwilling to relinquish power or prestige, even in death's cold grip. The scale of these tombs and the cruelty involved in their creation speak to a deep obsession with strength by and the grave. Death was not a peaceful end, but a battleground where the dead continued their journey, guarded by spirits and weapons, surrounded by the loyal souls who died alongside them. It was a haunting vision of eternity, one where power demanded sacrifice and devotion never ceased. These brutal funerary rites also served to intimidate enemies and impress allies, a lasting statement of the tribe's dominance. The kurgans stood as terrifying reminders that for the Scythians, death was just another war to be won. As this obsession with power beyond death reveals the darkness of their beliefs. It also exposes the brutal justice they enforced among the living, punishments designed to maintain order through fear and pain. Scythian law was carved not in words, but in blood and fear. Justice was swift, brutal, and public, designed to send an unyielding message to anyone who dared break the tribe's harsh code. Betrayal and disobedience were met with punishments so violent they became terrifying spectacles. Weaving cruelty tightly with ritual to uphold order through sheer terror, mutilations were among the horror. Chest penalties, fingers, ears, or noses were cut off to mark offenders forever, turning their bodies into living warnings. These wounds were not hidden, but displayed openly, reminders of the price paid for crossing tribal laws. Such disfigurements robbed victims of dignity and signaled to the tribe the sacred seriousness of loyalty. Public executions took these punishments even further. The condemned were sometimes tied to horses and dragged across the steppe, or left exposed to wild beasts. Some were sacrificed in bloody rituals, their deaths becoming offerings meant to cleanse the tribe of impurity or betrayal. These Executions were spectacles of power-gruesome ceremonies that fused justice with the tribe's spiritual beliefs. The terrifying punishments reinforced an unforgiving social order. They maintained loyalty by making fear a constant presence in daily life, ensuring that lawbreakers were isolated and punished beyond redemption. In Scythian culture, obedience was demanded not only by tradition, but by brutal consequence. This justice system was a reflection of their wider worldview, a world where survival depended on strength, and where cruelty was woven into the very fabric of power. Fear was the ultimate tool, shaping behavior and binding the tribe together in harsh unity. These punishments left scars not only on the body, but on the tribe's collective spirit. Yet beyond fear and pain, the Scythians' rituals of justice revealed a culture determined to control both life and death, setting the stage for their dark legacy in history's shadowed corners. The empire of the Scythians may have vanished into the sands of time, but the echoes of their savage world linger in history's darkest corners. Their fierce independence, brutal customs, and ruthless rituals carved a legacy that continues to fascinate and horrify, offering a rare glimpse into a world where survival demanded unimaginable extremes. The scars of their culture, blood oaths, sealed by horse sacrifices, gruesome feasts that blurred the line between reverence and horror, and tattoos etched through pain still haunt the imagination. These customs were not senseless acts of cruelty, but expressions of a worldview shaped by relentless struggle and the harsh demands of the Eurasian steppes. Each ritual told a story of power fought for and preserved by any means necessary. There, tombs stand as silent monuments to a belief in life beyond death, where loyalty stretched past the grave through human and animal sacrifice. Their justice system wielded fear like a weapon, enforcing obedience with mutilations and public executions that left no room for mercy. This brutal code shaped a society where strength was sacred and weakness was a threat, even as centuries have passed. The Scythian shadows remain, a reminder that beneath the surface of civilization lies a primal world ruled by raw power, fear, and survival. Their rituals reveal the dark complexity of nomadic life, a harsh reality where every act was charged with spiritual and physical consequence. This legacy challenges modern perceptions of ancient peoples, exposing the savage beauty and terrible cost of a culture forged on the edge of the known world. The Scythians left behind more than history. They left a chilling testament to humanity's capacity for both devotion and darkness. As their story fades, it beckons the curious and the brave to look deeper into the rituals that define their existence. Rituals that push the limits of belief, loyalty, and survival in ways few can truly comprehend. Sentinelese secrets. Inside the world's most mysterious and isolated tribe, North Sentinel Island stands as a silent fortress, untouched by time and shielded by fierce protectors who reject the world beyond their shores. The Sentinelese Tribe, estimated to number only a few dozen to 100, lives in complete isolation, a choice marked by unyielding hostility toward any outsider. Their home is one of the last places on Earth where humans live without modern tools, without recorded history, and without the influence of global civilization. This isolation is not peaceful. It is enforced with a raw, brutal force that has stunned explorers and governments alike. The Sentinelese meet any intrusion with a rain of arrows, swift and deadly. Their bows, carved from the island's wood, are weapons of war as much as tools of survival. No outsider has ever set foot safely on the island in recent history. Theirs is a world built on suspicion and defense, where strangers are not welcomed but feared as threats to existence. This defenses, instinctive and ancient, coded deep in their culture, they guard not just land, but the very essence of their way of life, refusing to let the outside world erase who they are. Survival here means living in harmony with the island's dense forests and sharp reefs. relying on what nature offers without any help from technology or trade. Yet, despite their complete separation, the Sentinelese thrive. Their bodies carry the marks of this fierce independence, scarred hands, sharpened eyes, and unyielding will. They craft their homes from palm leaves and hunt with precision that has lasted for generations. Every movement is calculated, every ritual steeped in meaning that outsiders cannot decode. The tribe's rejection of contact is not merely defensive, but a declaration of sovereignty. They embody a paradox: human beings who live outside the reach of modern society yet continue to survive on their own terms. This violent refusal to be known challenges ideas of progress and civilization. It forces a question. What happens when a people choose to disappear rather than be absorbed? Their story is a haunting reminder of the fragile line between survival and extinction, isolation and connection. It is a warning whispered by the islands when some worlds are meant to stay separate, their secrets locked away behind a wall of arrows and silence. What lies beneath this fierce protection is a mystery that only deepens with every failed attempt at contact, setting the stage to explore the weapons they wield in defense of their world. The weapons of the Sentinelese are simple yet terrifying, instruments of survival and defense, honed by generations living on the knife's edge of existence. Their bows, carved from sturdy island wood, are silent harbingers of death, deceptively primitive, but deadly precise. Arrows fly swift and sure through the humid air, their sharp tips crafted to pierce flesh without mercy. These are not tools of sport, but weapons designed to repel any who dare set foot on their sacred soil. Spears, sharpened to fine points, serve as both hunting implements and instruments of war. In the dense jungle undergrowth, the Sentinelese move with ghost-like stealth, blending into the shadows as they prepare ambushes. Their survival depends on this brutal dance between hunter and hunted. Every arrow loosed, every spear thrust, is a matter of life and death, fiercely protecting a way of life that has resisted change for thousands of years. Their hunting techniques reveal a culture intimately tied to the rhythms of the island. The sea offers fish and shellfish. The forest provides wild pigs and birds, all procured with lethal efficiency. But it is their defense against outsiders that reveals the darker side of their weapons. Any approaching boat is met with a barrage of arrows from hidden vantage points along the shore. The violence is swift and unforgiving, a chilling reminder that this tribe will not be tamed or bargained with. The deadly ambushes serve a dual purpose, warding off intruders and sending a stark message that the Sentinelese are the sole masters of their domain. These attacks are not mindless acts of aggression, are calculated moves steeped in centuries of survival instinct. They protect not just their physical space, but their cultural identity, wielding their weapons as a shield against outside influence. The brutality of these confrontations contrasts sharply with the peaceful beauty of the island. Itself crystal clear, waters lap against white sands, while the dense green canopy conceals sharp eyes ready to strike. The weapons of war are a harsh reminder of the price paid for isolation, a price paid with blood and silence. This deadly arsenal ensures the Sentinelese remain a mystery to the outside world, their lives intertwined with the island's secrets. But it also hints at a deeper truth: the fierce violence protecting them is born from desperation, a final line drawn against a world eager to erase them. The island's silent defenders stand ready, weapons in hand, guarding the fragile balance between survival and extinction. Next lies the harsh realities that shape their daily existence, where every breath is a battle against nature itself. Life on North Sentinel Island is a relentless struggle against nature's harshest trials. The Sentinelese endure blistering heat, monsoon storms, and humid air that seeps into every bone. Their island home offers no comfort, no shelter from the raw power of the elements. Every day is a test of endurance, where survival depends on constant alertness and an unyielding spirit. Resources are scarce and precious. The dense forests yield only what can be gathered, hunted, or fished with primitive tools. Freshwater springs are few and fiercely guarded. Food must be hunted with deadly precision. Wild pigs, crabs, fish, and shellfish form the diet, each caught by hand, spear, or bow. There is no room for waste or weakness. The island demands strength, skill, and a deep knowledge of the land, passed down through generations like a sacred code. This brutal environment shapes the Sentinelese in every way. Their bodies are hardened by years of exposure-scarred hands from climbing trees, muscles honed by endless labor. The tribe's customs are forged in this crucible of survival. There is little tolerance for error or softness. Social rules are strict, designed to maintain order and efficiency. Weakness threatens not just the individual but the entire community's chance at survival. Isolation amplifies these harsh realities, without allies or trade. The Sentinelese rely solely on themselves. This breeds a culture of self-reliance and suspicion. Outsiders are seen as threats, carriers of diseases or destruction that could wipe out the fragile balance they maintain. Their fierce defense of territory is as much about protecting life as it is about preserving. Identity dot their lives are measured not in years but in battles fought against hunger, weather, and danger. Every test building shelters, gathering food, tending fires is a struggle demanding focus and strength. The island's unforgiving nature leaves no room for rest or complacency. This raw existence molds a people unlike any other, resilient, unyielding, and fiercely protective. The Sentinelese embody a world stripped to its barest essentials, a life few could endure and none can easily understand. Their harsh reality is both a prison and a fortress, setting the stage for the unseen spiritual beliefs that guide and sustain them beyond mere survival. Beneath the dense canopy and fierce defenses lies a hidden world of spiritual power that shapes every aspect of Sentinelese life, though shrouded in mystery. The tribe's rituals and beliefs hold a grip as strong as their weapons. These unseen forces govern behavior, enforce taboos, and protect the island's deepest secrets. Forces outsiders can only glimpse through fragments and fearful speculation. The Sentinelese live bound by strict taboos that dictate what can be spoken, touched, or even thought. Some objects and places are said to carry sacred power, forbidden to the uninitiated or outsiders. Breaking these taboos is believed to bring swift and terrible consequences, not just from the tribe but from the spirits that watch over the island. These spiritual laws form an invisible barrier as lethal as their arrows, guarding the tribe's isolation and identity. Rituals likely serve as both spiritual practice and social control. Their ceremonies, if witnessed at all, are silent, tense, and laden with symbolism. Small gestures, body paint, and rhythmic chants might mark rites of passage, hunting blessings, or warnings to enemies. These acts reinforce the tribe's unity, their bond to the land, and their readiness to defend it. The spiritual world they inhabit is intertwined with daily survival, blurring the lines between the sacred and the practical. Some anthropologists suggest that the Sentinelese believe the island itself is alive, a guardian spirit demanding respect and obedience. This belief could explain the fierce protection of territory and the hostility toward outsiders who threaten its balance. The island's natural dangers: sharp reefs, dense forests, unpredictable storms may be seen as manifestations of this spiritual force, warnings to those who would intrude. The tribe's isolation is maintained not just by fear of outsiders, but by a powerful cultural framework where spiritual punishment is as real envy. Read as physical violence, this unseen realm sustains their way of life, giving meaning to hardship and violence alike. It fuels the tribe's unyielding resistance and justifies the brutal measures taken to protect their world. What lies beneath these rituals is a complex, psychology of survival, identity, and fear. The Sentinelese are bound together by more than blood and tradition. They are linked by a shared belief in forces beyond human control. Forces that demand silence, secrecy, and obedience. This spiritual veil deepens the mystery of North Sentinel Island, a world where unseen powers guard the boundary between life and death. Beyond these rituals, the tribe faces the harsh realities of daily existence, where every breath is earned in a battle against nature itself. The Sentinelese enforce their isolation with a ruthless finality that few outsiders have witnessed and even fewer have survived. Any attempt to cross their invisible boundary risks more than rejection. It can mean death. The price of curiosity on North Sentinel Island is paid in blood, a brutal warning etched into the harsh reality of this forbidden land. Visitors who approach the island often find themselves met with a deadly storm of arrows, launched from hidden perches with terrifying precision. These are not random acts of violence, but deliberate punishments designed to repel and deter. The tribe's lethal response is a clear message: trespassers will not be tolerated. Those who ignore it vanish without trace, swallowed by the islands. Dense forests or the unforgiving sea. Beyond the fatal consequences for outsiders, the tribe's strict customs demand absolute obedience from within. Though little is known of their internal justice, it is believed that violations of tribal laws carry severe punishments. These punishments ensure that no one threatens the fragile balance that keeps the Sentinelese. Hidden and safe, the price for betrayal or breaking sacred taboos could be exile, injury, or worse, a fate as grim as any outsider's. This culture of silence is enforced not only through weapons, but through shared, unspoken understanding. The island's isolation is maintained by generations who have learned that survival depends on secrecy and strict boundaries. The Sentinelese live in a world where trust is fragile and punishment swift, where any crack in their shield risks destruction. The deadly price paid for breaking the silence underscores the tribe's fierce determination to remain unseen. It paints a chilling portrait of a society willing to kill to protect its secrets, a society where isolation is not just a choice but a matter of survival. This brutal enforcement is both a shield and a warning, a way to keep the outside world at bay and preserve a way of life that refuses to vanish. As the island's guardians stand watch with bow and spear, their deadly vigilance protects more than just land. It preserves an ancient, impenetrable world. Ahead lies the uncertain future of the Sentinelese, a fragile existence caught between isolation and a changing world. The future of the Sentinelese hangs in a fragile balance, caught between their fierce isolation and the relentless forces pressing in from the outside world. Their survival, once assured by the island's remoteness and their own violent defense, now faces threats unlike any before. Climate change stirs the seas, swallowing coastlines and disrupting the delicate ecosystem that sustains the tribe's way of life. Rising tides and stronger storms threaten to erase the very land they fight to protect. Illegal fishing and poaching in the surrounding waters further strain the island's resources. Despite government restrictions meant to keep outsiders away, some fishermen risk entering forbidden zones, bringing with them pollution, disease, and destruction. The Sentinelese, with no immunity to modern illnesses, face a terrifying vulnerability. Contact, even accidental, could unleash devastation far beyond what arrows and spears can repel. Government policies designed to protect the tribe enforce a strict no-contact rule, creating a legal barrier meant to preserve their isolation. Yet, these measures also raise difficult questions. How can a people survive without any chance to adapt or access healthcare? How long can a culture survive when it remains frozen in time, isolated from the rapid changes of the modern world? The tension between protection and neglect creates a dangerous uncertainty. The tribe's violent resistance to contact, once a powerful defense may become a trap cut off from knowledge, technology, and medicine. Their existence grows ever more precarious. The island that once shielded them now isolates them from potential aid, from a world increasingly interconnected and unpredictable. This uncertain future forces reflection on what it means to preserve a culture. Is survival measured by physical existence alone, or by the ability to change and endure? The Sentinelese challenge these ideas, standing as a living reminder of humanity's oldest roots and its most vulnerable branches. As the island's silent guardians face an uncertain horizon, their story becomes a haunting question mark. Will they endure the storms ahead, or vanish like whispers on the wind? The fragile balance between survival and extinction hangs on a knife's edge. As the world watches, but can only guess at the fate of North Sentinel Island's last untouched tribe, Scythian Tribe secrets, unveiling shocking rituals and ancient punishments. Scythian people are one of West Africa's oldest tribes, their origins stretching back centuries before colonial maps drew new lines, known for their profound connection to nature. The Scythian live in a world where the unseen holds as much power as the visible. Their spiritual beliefs, layered and ancient, weave a complex web of rituals that protect, punish, and preserve the delicate balance between the living and the dead. At the heart of Scythian culture lies a deep respect and fear of the natural world. Trees, rivers, and animals are not just parts of the environment, but sacred forces, inhabited by spirits that must be honored. To outsiders, this reverence can seem strange or even disturbing. Many of the Scythian ceremonies take place at night, shrouded in mystery, often involving chants and dances that summon ancestral powers. These rituals blur the lines between life and death, the physical and the spiritual. One of the most unsettling aspects of Scythian tradition is the practice of blood rites. These ceremonies, performed with precision and solemnity, call upon the blood of animals and occasionally humans to appease spirits or seek protection. Blood, in Scythian belief, is the essence of life itself, a powerful force that can heal or destroy. The spilling of it is not taken lightly. It is a reminder that the tribe exists in constant dialogue with forces beyond human understanding. Forces that demand respect and sometimes sacrifice. The social codes of the Scythian people are as strict as their spiritual laws. Breaking a taboo is not only a personal failing, but a threat to the community's survival. Punishments are severe, often involving ritual isolation or symbolic markings meant to warn others. These measures maintain order, but they also reveal a culture shaped by fear of angering spirits, fear of disorder, and fear of losing the fragile balance that sustains their world. This dual nature, reverence and fear, is what defines the Scythian tribe. Their rituals and beliefs are a window into a world where survival depends on harmony with unseen powers, a world that remains hidden beneath the surface of everyday life. Understanding this world requires more than facts. It demands a look at the emotions and fears that have shaped the Scythian for generations. In the Scythian worldview, blood is far more than a symbol. It is the sacred thread that binds life to the spirit world. Blood sacrifice stands at the core of their spirituality, a haunting and powerful act meant to honor ancestors and secure the tribe's survival. The spilling of blood is believed to awaken ancestral spirits, to calm restless souls, and to maintain the delicate cosmic balance that holds their world together. These rituals are not performed lightly. Each sacrifice follows strict rules passed down through generations, carried out by skilled priests whose knowledge borders on the mystical. Animals, often cattle or goats, are the primary offerings, chosen for their strength and vitality. Their blood is drawn with care, the ceremony, both precise and intense. The sounds of chanting fill the air as the tribe gathers, the tension thick with both reverence and fear. Every drop of blood spill is a sacred gift, a bridge between the seen and unseen worlds. But on rare and dark occasions, human sacrifice enters the picture, such acts, though horrifying to outsiders, are understood within Scythian culture as the ultimate offering. These sacrifices are reserved for moments of great crisis, plagues, famine, or threats to the tribe's very existence. The chosen individual is seen as a hero. Their death the necessary price to restore harmony. It is a chilling reminder of how deeply the Scythians believe that life and death are intertwined forces, where the shedding of one life can protect many others. Blood sacrifice is also a test of communal faith. It demands submission to a greater power, surrendering personal attachments for the tribe's collective good. The ceremony transforms fear into ritual, pain into purpose. It binds the living to their ancestors, linking generations in a circle of protection and renewal. This ancient practice reveals much about the Scythian psyche, how survival is tied not only to physical strength, but to spiritual devotion and sacrifice. It exposes the tribe's acceptance of life's harsh realities, and the belief that cosmic order must be preserved at any cost. In Scythian society, justice is not simply about right or wrong, it is a sacred duty to protect the balance between the living and the spiritual world. When someone is accused of breaking the tribe's sacred laws, the consequences reach far beyond physical punishment. Offenders face a harsh combination of spiritual and physical penalties designed to cleanse, humiliate, and warn others of the dangers of disrespecting the unseen forces that govern life. Isolation is one of the most feared punishments. Those deemed spiritually guilty are often cast out from the community for days, sometimes weeks, cut off from family and friends. This separation is more than social exile. It is believed to weaken the offender's connection to protective spirits, leaving them vulnerable to malevolent forces. The psychological toll is immense. The silence and loneliness serve as a brutal reminder of the crime's seriousness and the tribe's power over its members. Scarring is another punishment, one that marks the body with permanent symbols of guilt. These scars are carved carefully, each pattern representing the nature of the offense. They serve as a public warning, branding the individual as someone who has violated sacred law. The pain of the act is only part of the penalty. The lifelong stigma ensures the offender carries the weight of their crime wherever they go. This physical mark is a constant reminder of the spiritual chaos they have caused. Perhaps most unsettling are the spiritual cleansing rituals. These ceremonies aim to purge the offender's soul of impurity, but often border on psychological torment. They involve intense chanting, isolation in dark, confined spaces, and the use of powerful herbs and smoke to force a confrontation with inner fears and guilt. The experience can feel like a descent into madness, stripping away the person's sense of self until they emerge purified or broken. This terrifying ordeal reinforces the tribe's belief that spiritual offenses threaten the entire community's safety. These punishments reveal the Scythians' unyielding commitment to maintaining spiritual order. Every penalty is designed not just to punish, but to restore balance, using fear and pain as tools to enforce obedience. The tribe's strict codes and severe penalties create a society where respect for the spiritual world governs every action, and where breaking sacred law risks far more than human justice. Becoming a man in Scythian society is not simply a matter of age. It is a transformation that demands endurance, loyalty, and absolute secrecy. The initiation rites stand as one of the tribe's most intense and secretive traditions, designed to break down the individual and rebuild him as a guardian of Scythian culture and spiritual power. These rites are both physically brutal and psychologically demanding, shaping identity through pain and mystery. The journey begins in isolation, far from the eyes of the village. Young men are taken into the wilderness, where they face harsh tests that push their bodies to the limit. Endurance is measured not just by physical strength, but by the ability to withstand fear and uncertainty. Inti, silence is mandatory, and any breach of conduct risks severe punishment. This solitude is meant to sever ties with childhood and prepare initiates for their new roles. One of the most harrowing elements of initiation is the ritual of body modification. Cuts and scars are deliberately inflicted, marking the initiate with symbols of courage and belonging. These marks carry deep meaning, visible badges of the trials endured and the secrets kept. The pain is intense but necessary. It forges a physical connection to the tribe's ancient traditions and to the ancestors who walked this path before. Mental challenges accompany the physical trials. Initiates are exposed to esoteric knowledge, sacred chants, and taboos that only the initiated may understand or observe. This knowledge is both a gift and a burden, binding them to the tribe's spiritual laws and demanding unwavering loyalty. The secrecy surrounding these teachings creates a brotherhood whose members protect the tribe's deepest mysteries at all costs. This initiation is more than a rite of passage, it is a rebirth. The young man who emerges is no longer just an individual but a part of a hidden order, entrusted with preserving the seer's sacred heritage. Lifelong obligations bind him to the tribe and its spiritual guardianship, reinforcing the delicate balance between tradition and survival. These secret rites reveal the immense sacrifices demanded by seer culture, from blood sacrifice to punishment. The tribe's complex rituals underscore a world where power, pain, and faith are forever intertwined. Within the Scythian Tribe, women occupy a paradoxical space wielding profound spiritual power, while living under rigid social restrictions. They are often the tribe's spiritual mediators, gifted with the ability to communicate with ancestral spirits and guide sacred rituals as mediums and ritual specialists. Scythian women serve as essential links between the physical world and the invisible forces that govern life and death. Their role is deeply respected yet tightly controlled, bound by strict codes that demand purity, obedience, and silence. These spiritual duties come with heavy burdens. Women must carefully navigate a web of taboos that govern everything from their behavior to their relationships. Violating these unwritten laws risks not only personal disgrace, but severe social and spiritual punishment. The tribe views these rules as necessary safeguards to maintain cosmic order. Women who break taboos may face isolation, ritual cleansing, or even harsher penalties designed to cleanse the spiritual contamination they are believed to carry. This tension between power and vulnerability defines the women's experience in Scythian society. Their access to mystical knowledge grants them influence that few men possess. Yet this power is always checked by a system that limits their freedom. The weight of expectation is immense. Spiritual purity is demanded, while any hint of impurity invites suspicion and punishment. This delicate balance enforces obedience while elevating the women's role to a sacred, almost untouchable status. Some rituals led by women involve dark and secretive practices, including divination and trance states that reveal hidden truths or foretell disaster. These rites connect the community to the ancestral realm, but they also isolate women, placing them at the center of fear and fascination. The spiritual authority they hold often makes them both revered and feared figures, walking a narrow line between reverence and repression. The paradox of the Scythian woman, both powerful and constrained, reflects the broader tribal worldview, where spiritual order demands sacrifice and strict control. Their role is a testament to the complexity of ancient traditions that intertwine faith, fear, and social hierarchy. From the women's secret rites, the journey leads into the final, chilling passage how the Scythian confront death and the terrifying rituals that follow. Death in Scythian culture is not seen as an end, but as a dangerous passage into the unknown, a journey fraught with peril for the soul and the living alike. The tribe's funeral rituals are intense, designed to protect the community from restless spirits and to ensure the deceased's safe arrival in the afterlife. These ceremonies reveal a profound fear of spiritual retribution, a fear so strong it shapes how the Scyra live and die. The body of the deceased is treated with solemn care, but the rituals that follow can be unsettling. The tribe believes that without proper rites, a soul may become trapped between worlds, turning into a restless spirit capable of causing misfortune. To prevent this, funeral ceremonies include acts that may seem harsh or disturbing ritualistic. Beatings of the corpse, symbolic barriers placed round the grave, and offerings meant to confuse or repel evil forces. These actions are meant to protect both the dead and the living, sealing the boundary between life and death. Families often engage in elaborate mourning rites, involving loud wails, chants, and dances that invoke ancestral guardians. These sounds are believed to guide the spirit on its journey while warning malevolent entities to stay away. Yet, beneath the ceremony's surface lies an undercurrent of dread fear that any mistake or omission could bring disaster. This fear enforces strict adherence to tradition and places great pressure on ritual specialists who must carry out their duties flawlessly. Some of the dead are honored with additional secret rites reserved for those considered spiritually powerful or dangerous. These rites can include extended isolation of the corpse or the destruction of personal belongings to prevent the spirit's return. The idea is to deny the soul any earthly tether that might anchor it in the living world. Failure to perform these rites is believed to unleash curses or hauntings that plague the tribe for generations. The fear of death and the afterlife governs much of Scyra life, casting a shadow over daily actions and social behavior. Every prayer, sacrifice, and ritual is performed with the knowledge that death is never final. It is a terrifying passage that must be navigated with care and respect. This grim reality binds the tribe to its ancient customs and spiritual beliefs, a bond sealed in blood, fear, and hope for a peace beyond the grave. Inside the Shuar Tribe, shocking rituals and deadly traditions of the Amazon's fierce warriors deep within the twisting veins of the Amazon rainforest, where sunlight barely touches the dense canopy, lives the Shuar Tribe, ancient guardians of a world untouched by time. Fierce and secretive, the Shuar have earned a fearsome reputation, whispered across continents, not just for their survival skills, but for rituals that strike terror into outsiders. Among these, the utter shrinking head stands as a chilling symbol of their power, yet only scratches the surface of a complex culture woven from honor, revenge, and spiritual devotion. For centuries, the Shuar have thrived in this isolated wilderness, spanning Ecuador and Peru. Their fierce warrior spirit is not born of cruelty, but of necessity, a life balanced precariously between man, nature, and unseen spirits. Every act, every tradition, is charged with meaning, rooted in an unyielding code that governs social order and the sacred cycle of life and death. This code is fiercely protected, passed down through generations in stories, ceremonies, and blood. To the Shuar, enemies are more than threats. They are forces to be contained, not just defeated. The practice of shrinking heads, or creating census, is a ritual that transforms a violent act into spiritual triumph. It is believed to capture the enemy's soul, preventing vengeance from the afterlife and empowering the victor. This ritual is a physical and spiritual battle, embodying the tribe's belief in the power of revenge as a sacred duty. Outsiders often see this as barbaric, yet for the Shuar, it is an act of respect, a way to restore balance to a world where spirits and humans constantly intertwine. Beyond warfare, the Shuar maintain a worldview where the natural and supernatural are inseparable. Spirits inhabit rivers, trees, and animals, and the tribe's shamans serve as essential mediators, guiding the community through danger and healing. This spiritual connection sustains the Shuar through their harsh jungle existence and shapes every ritual, from births to deaths. weaving a tapestry of belief that is both mesmerizing and unsettling. Understanding the Shuar means stepping into a world where survival depends on fearlessness and reverence for the unknown. Their customs challenge modern sensibilities, confronting outsiders with the raw edges of human belief and endurance. In this remote part of the Amazon, every ritual carries weight, every punishment serves purpose, and every spirit demands recognition, forming a society as enigmatic as the jungle that shelters it. This fierce blend of the physical and spiritual sets the stage for rituals that shock and intrigue. The secrets behind that Sansa will reveal not only the brutality of war, but the deep spiritual forces that drive this ancient tribe's survival and justice. That Sansa the Shrunken Head stands as one of the most haunting symbols of the Shuar Tribe, a ritual both brutal and deeply spiritual. To the untrained eye, it is a grisly trophy, a relic of savage warfare. But to the Shuar, it is a vessel of power, a way to control spirits and maintain balance in a world where the boundary between the living and the dead is thin and fragile. The process begins on the battlefield, where warriors confront their enemies, not just to kill but to capture. The scalping of a head is an act filled with intention. It is not mere violence, but a step in the sacred transformation. The head, severed with precision, is not discarded. Instead, it becomes an object of reverence, a key to trapping the enemy's soul. According to Shuar belief, if the spirit escapes, it can return to seek revenge, bringing curses and misfortune upon the tribe. That Sansa ensures this cannot happen once taken. The head undergoes a secret and grisly preparation. The skin is carefully boiled, shrunk, and molded, preserving the facial features but reducing the size dramatically. Eyes are sewn shut to trap the soul inside, while the lips are stitched to prevent the spirit from shouting curses. This is not simply preservation. It is a magical act intended to bind the spirit forever, silencing its voice and power. But the physical transformation is only part of the ritual. The Shuar believe that ceremonies and chants, conducted by shamans, are essential to activating that sense of spiritual potency. These rituals summon ancestral spirits and call upon protective forces to empower the head and, by extension, the tribe. That Sansa becomes a talisman, a symbol of victory, and a guardian against future harm. Its presence in a warrior's home. All the communal space serves as a warning to enemies and a reminder of the tribe's strength. This ritual also reinforces social hierarchy within the Shuar. Warriors who bring back Sansa's earn respect and status, proving their bravery and skill. The power to control spirits through these shrunken heads elevates their position in the tribe, intertwining personal honor with spiritual authority. It is a brutal form of justice that serves to uphold the tribe's values of courage, loyalty, and vengeance. The terrifying beauty of the Sansa ritual lies in its fusion of the physical and spiritual realms. It reveals a worldview where death is not the end, but a continuation of conflict in another form of battle for our souls as much as for survival. That Sansa is not just a symbol of violence. It is a testament to the Shuar's fierce determination to protect their people through any means necessary. This grim practice, misunderstood by many, encapsulates the heart of Shuar culture where honor, revenge, and the unseen forces of the spirit world are forever intertwined. That Sansa's power sets the tone for the tribe's relentless quest for justice, a theme that unfolds further in the rituals of blood feuds and revenge. In the world of the Shuar, justice is more than law, it is a sacred obligation rooted in blood and honor. Revenge is not a simple response to harm. It is a powerful force that binds families, clans, and generations together in a relentless cycle. Blood feuds stretch across years, sometimes centuries, each act of vengeance carefully measured to restore balance and uphold the tribe's code. Within this fierce culture, the taking of a life demands repayment, but not indiscriminately strict. Rules govern retribution, ensuring that punishments are neither too lenient nor excessively cruel. Every killing carries weight. It must be justified by ancestral laws that the community respects and enforces. The concept of justice here is intertwined with spiritual belief. The spirits of the wrong demand satisfaction, and peace cannot be restored until they are appeased. Ritual killings are a common means of settling disputes, often sanctioned by tribal elders who serve as both judges and spiritual guides. These executions are not mere acts of violence, but are performed with ceremony and respect, marking the end of a feud or the punishment of a serious offense. The killings are a public display of justice, reinforcing social order and deterring further conflict. This system of justice is tightly woven into the Shuar's identity. Honor drives every decision, and failing to seek revenge is seen as weakness, threatening both personal standing and communal harmony. Conversely, excessive revenge risks endless violence. So the tribe's customs demand balance, a calibrated response that satisfies the spirits and maintains peace without igniting new feuds. The psychological weight of this justice system shapes every aspect of Shuar life. Families live under the shadow of past wrongs, and young warriors are raised with the understanding that loyalty to kin means carrying the burden of revenge. This creates a society where the line between justice and survival blurs, and where violence serves as a language of respect and duty. Revenge in the Shuar world is not chaos, but a solemn ritual and extension of their fierce connection to ancestral spirits and the natural order. It enforces a code that transcends individual desire, rooting justice in tradition and spiritual necessity. This unyielding commitment to honor and balance guides the tribe through conflict and keeps their way of life intact. The sacredness of revenge sets the stage for those who wield power within the tribe, especially the shamans, who oversee spiritual rites and punishments. Their role is critical in channeling this violence, ensuring it serves the tribe's deeper needs rather than destruction alone. The shaman stands at the heart of the Shuar world, a figure both feared and revered, a guardian of ancient secrets and a bridge between the seen and unseen. In a culture where spirits shape reality, the shaman's power is unmatched. Through sacred rituals and the use of potent hallucinogenic plants, they unlock visions that guide the tribe's fate, heal the wounded, and enforce the spiritual laws that govern every action. These spiritual leaders possess knowledge passed down through generations, a blend of medicine, magic, and deep connection to the natural world. Their ceremonies often involve the sacred vine, known for its powerful mind-altering effects, which allows shamans to journey beyond the physical plane and commune with spirits. This communion is not merely mystical, but practical. Shamans seek guidance to protect the tribe from harm, predict dangers, and maintain harmony between humans and the spirit realm. The shaman's influence extends into the realm of justice and punishment. When blood feuds ignite or enemies threaten the tribe, shamans call upon their spiritual authority to legitimize actions, including ritual killings. Their blessings turn violence into sacred acts, ensuring that vengeance aligns with ancestral laws and spiritual balance. In this way, shamans serve as enforcers of order, wielding their feared power to command obedience and respect. Healing is another vital rule. Shamanic rituals cleanse the body and spirit, addressing ailments believed to be caused by malevolent forces or curses. The shaman's healing powers reinforce their status and deepen the tribe's trust, blending science and spirituality in ways that outsiders struggle to comprehend. Through chants, potions, and visions, they restore health and ward off evil influences that lurk in the jungle shadows. The shaman's position is never easy. They carry the burden of interpreting the will of spirits while managing human fears and conflicts. Their word can change the course of disputes, influence decisions on war and peace, and shape the tribe's future. This immense responsibility grants shamans a unique authority, making them indispensable in a world where survival hinges on unseen forces. Through their rituals, shamans maintain a delicate balance between life and death. The physical and the spiritual, they command both and fear, reminding the tribe that every action echoes beyond the tangible world, in the Shuar's fierce jungle domain. The shaman is not just a healer or leader, they are the living connection to a powerful, mysterious realm that controls fate itself. This profound spiritual authority prepares the ground for the intense rites of passage young warriors must endure, shaping the tribe's next generation in courage and loyalty. For the young men of the Shuar tribe, becoming a warrior is not a birthright, it is a hard-won achievement forged through brutal initiation rites. These ceremonies push candidates to the edge of human endurance, testing their courage, loyalty, and readiness to face the dangers of their unforgiving jungle world. Pain and trial are woven into every step, transforming boys into respected warriors. Through symbolic acts of death and rebirth, one of the most feared initiation tests involves enduring excruciating physical pain without flinching. Warriors in training might be pierced with sharp objects or subjected to harsh blows, proving their strength and resilience. This suffering is not senseless cruelty, but a vital passage. It teaches control over the body and mind, preparing initiates to face the wounds and hardships of battle without faltering. Entrance trials often stretch far beyond pain. Young Shuar must demonstrate their ability to survive in the jungle's wild and unpredictable environment. These rites can include days of fasting, isolation, and navigating dense, dangerous terrain alone. Such challenges sharpen instincts and reinforce a deep connection with the land, essential qualities for a warrior responsible for protecting the tribe. Symbolism runs deep in these rituals. Acts that represent death and rebirth mark the transition from youth to adulthood. For example, initiates may undergo ceremonies where they symbolically die to their former selves and are reborn as warriors with new responsibilities. These rites often involve chanting, sacred plants, guidance from elder shamans, linking the young men to the spiritual power that sustains the tribe. The social implications of these initiations are profound. Successfully completing the rites earns the initiate a place within the warrior hierarchy, granting respect and status. It signals loyalty to the tribe's code and readiness to uphold its fierce traditions. Failure, on the other hand, can mean social exclusion or worse, as weakness is seen as a threat to the community's survival through these extreme trials. The Shuar mold warriors not just of strength but of spirit. The initiations reinforce values of bravery, endurance, and unity, essential for a life in a world where threats come from both man and nature. Every scar and hardship endured becomes a mark of honor, a testament to the warrior's commitment to protect and avenge. These rites of passage echo the tribe's wider culture where survival depends on courage, respect for the spirit world, and unbreakable loyalty. They prepare the next generation to carry forward ancient customs, ready to face the brutal realities of Shuar life with fierce hearts and steady hands. The warrior's journey leads naturally into the deeper spiritual beliefs that govern the tribe's understanding of life and death. For the Shuar, life and death are not separate, but parts of a continuous, intertwined cycle governed by powerful spiritual forces. Their worldview blends the physical and supernatural so closely that every action, every word, carries weight beyond the immediate moment. Souls, nature, spirits, and ancestral powers shape not only their rituals, but the very fabric of daily life. Central to Shuar belief is the idea that souls do not simply vanish at death. Instead, they linger, sometimes restless, sometimes protective, watching over the living or seeking justice. This presence of spirits influences social behavior profoundly. Respect for ancestors and the unseen world guides decisions from resolving conflicts to conducting ceremonies that honor the dead and appease spirits that might cause illness or misfortune. Nature itself is alive with spirits. Rivers, trees, and animals are inhabited by beings that can bless or curse, protect or harm. This animistic belief demands a careful balance, as disrespect toward nature can invite disaster. Rituals, offerings, and taboos maintain harmony, ensuring that the natural and human worlds coexist without deadly conflict. Tragedy is never viewed as random misfortune, but as a spiritual event with meaning and consequence. Illness, accidents, or deaths often signal spiritual imbalance or the wrath of offended spirits. Healing, therefore, is as much a spiritual process as a physical one, relying on shamans to restore balance between worlds. These beliefs also shape social relations, enforcing strict codes of conduct rooted in spiritual respect and ancestral law. Dishonor or betrayal is not only a personal failing, but a spiritual offense, risking harm to the entire community. The intertwining of the seen and unseen creates a culture where fear, reverence, and duty blend into every interaction. The Shuar's intense spiritual worldview explains many of their extreme customs rituals born from a need to control invisible forces that threaten survival. It reveals a society where death is not an end, but a shift in power, and where life is a fragile thread held by respect, courage, and connection to ancestors. This deep bond with the spirit world shapes the tribe's identity and sets the foundation for their fierce commitment to rituals, justice, and survival, completing the circle of belief and action that defines the Shuar way of life. Secrets of the Sican, rituals and punishments that defy belief in the sun-baked lands of ancient Peru. The Sican people rose from the shadows, leaving behind a legacy both dazzling and dark. Their world shimmered with gold-gleaming masks, intricate jewelry, and towering temples that reached toward the sky like silent sentinels guarding secrets. These masters of metal transformed all into symbols of divine power, creating treasures that still stun archaeologists today. But beneath the brilliance of their artistry lay a harsher truth, one steeped in brutal rituals and unforgiving laws. The Sican civilization was not merely builders and artisans. They were fierce warriors and devout believers in the unseen forces that ruled their fate. Life among them was governed by rituals designed to keep balance between the mortal world and the gods. Their towering pyramids were not just places of worship, they were stages for ceremonies that demanded blood and sacrifice. Every gleaming gold ornament was more than decoration, it was a token in a dangerous spiritual exchange. Power was held with an iron grip. Punishments were swift and merciless, aimed at deterring any hint of rebellion or disrespect. The fear of divine wrath permeated daily life, enforcing order through pain and spectacle. Those who broke the sacred codes faced consequences designed to shatter both body and spirit. In this land where beauty and brutality intertwined, even the slightest misstep could lead to a grim fate. Yet, it was the mysterious rites hidden from outsiders that revealed the true heart of the Sican. These strange and extreme customs were not only about control, but also about connection through pain, endurance, and sacrifice. The people believed they touched the realm of gods and ancestors. Their world was one where the boundaries between life and death, human and divine, blurred beneath the flicker of torchlight and the sound of ritual drums. This is the story of a tribe where gold gleamed against the backdrop of shadows, a culture whose brilliance was forever entwined with fear, pain, and belief. Behind their shining treasures lay secrets darker than the deepest night, waiting to be uncovered in the chilling rites and punishments that shape the Sican world. The journey into these disturbing customs begins now. Sacrifice was the heartbeat of Sican religion, a terrifying dance of blood and devotion that reached into every corner of their existence. More than offerings to gods, these acts were brutal transactions, meant to secure the favor of powerful spirits believed to govern life, death, and the land itself. Animals alone were not enough. The Sican believed that only the purest sacrifices, often human, could maintain the delicate balance between the mortal world and the divine. At the center of these ceremonies stood victims chosen with care, sometimes prisoners of war, sometimes members of their own people. Their fate was sealed by a chilling conviction. Without blood spilled, crops would fail, floods would rage, and the spirits would turn hostile. The rituals demanded total surrender, terrifying reminder that human life was fragile beneath the weight of cosmic forces. The ceremonies were ruthless displays of power. Victims were bound and prepared with precise ritual gestures, their bodies laid bare beneath the watchful eyes of priests and warriors. The sound of beating drums filled the air, a relentless rhythm echoing the pounding of hearts about to stop. Bloodletting was more than a sacrifice. It was a language spoken directly to the gods, each drop a plea for protection, prosperity, and strength. One of the most feared practices was the extraction of the heart, performed with a sharp obsidian blade. This act was more than death. It was believed to release the soul, offering it as a living flame to the deities. The heart, still warm and pulsating, was held high as a symbol of ultimate devotion. To witness such a moment was to confront the raw edge of existence, where life and death collided in a sacred violence. Sacrificial sites were monumental, often atop the grand pyramids that pierced the sky. These altars, stained by generations of blood, served as thresholds between worlds. The scale of these ceremonies was immense, involving hundreds of participants, priests chanting invocations, warriors standing guard, and villagers bearing witness in fearful reverence. The weight of collective belief transformed each sacrifice into an event of cosmic importance. The Sican's obsession with power and divine favor permeated every gesture and act. Sacrifice was a stark reminder that survival depended on submission to forces greater than any human could comprehend. It was a brutal contract, blood for blessings, life for protection. The violence was not mere cruelty, but a deeply ingrained spiritual necessity that shaped the very fabric of Sican society. Yet, beneath the savage devotion lurked a profound fear of the gods' anger, fear of chaos, and fear of losing control over a world where unseen powers dictated every harvest, every storm, every breath. The rituals bound the people together through terror and faith, creating a society where brutality and belief were inseparable. The echoes of these ceremonies still haunt the ruins, whispering of a time when blood was the price of existence. The story of the Sican's sacred violence leads next to the chilling beliefs that governed life after death, the silver masks and curses that guarded the souls of their dead. Death was not an end for the Sican, it was a passage into a fierce and unforgiving afterlife. Their beliefs painted a world beyond the grave where the soul faced dangers as real and terrifying as those in life. To survive this journey, the dead required protection, status, and powerful symbols that would shield them from the dark forces waiting to claim lost souls. Among the most haunting of these protections were the silver masks, cold and shining, that covered the faces of the elite as they were laid to rest. These masks were far more than decorative relics, crafted with skill and reverence. They were believed to be powerful guardians, forged to shield the soul from malevolent spirits and curses lurking in the shadows beyond death. The silver glistened like moonlight, a beacon in the darkness meant to ward off evil and guide the departed safely through the perilous afterlife. To wear such a mask was a mark of privilege and a desperate attempt to hold on to dignity even in the face of oblivion. Burial rites were strict and complex, designed to secure the soul's passage and protect the body from spiritual harm. Every detail mattered, from the position of the corpse to the placement of grave goods offerings meant to sustain the dead on their long journey. Any mistake, any omission, risked damning the soul to eternal torment. trapped between worlds, and vulnerable to curses that could echo through generations. This forever restless dead haunted the tribe, a constant shadow over their rituals and beliefs. The Sican saw death as a battlefield, where the soul fought to maintain identity and honor against forces that sought to consume it. The silver masks symbolized this struggle of final armor against the unknown terrors that awaited. Their gleam was a promise of protection, but also a stark reminder of the dangers beyond life, where only the strongest, most prepared souls could hope to survive. This obsession with guarding the dead reveals the tribe's profound anxiety about what lay beyond the grave. Death was no peaceful release, but a dangerous transition, where fate depended on ritual precision and divine favor. The living devoted enormous effort to preparing the dead, hoping to secure not just survival, but power in the afterlife. The silver masks still lie silent in tombs and museums, haunting symbols of a culture consumed by fear and reverence for death's mysteries. Beneath their shine hides a world of spiritual conflict and desperate protection, a glimpse into the Sican's darkest beliefs. In the world of the Sican, justice was not a measured balance, but a swift and ruthless force. Laws were absolute, and the price of defiance was brutal punishment designed to destroy more than just flesh. It shattered honor, identity, and the very place a person held within society. The fear of these harsh penalties kept the community tightly bound, a constant reminder that control was enforced through pain and shame. Mutilation was among the most dreaded forms of punishment. Limbs were severed, noses cut off, or tongues removed, not simply to inflict pain, but to mark the offender forever. These cruel acts were permanent badges of disgrace, ensuring that the punished were visually separated from the rest, stripped of dignity and marked as outcasts. The scars told stories of transgression that no words could erase. Exile was another devastating sentence. To be cast out from the tribe was to lose not only shelter and community, but also spiritual protection. The Sican believed that separation from the group left a person vulnerable to both physical dangers and supernatural wrath. Exiles wandered in isolation, abandoned to survive in hostile lands or face death without the safety of ritual or kinship. Public humiliation completed the harsh spectrum of justice. Offenders were paraded before their peers, exposed to jeers and scorn, their crimes displayed as warnings to all. This ritualized shame struck at the core of Sican society, where reputation and social standing were essential to survival. The pain of public disgrace was felt deep in the spirit, fracturing bonds and severing trust. Together, these punishments served a powerful purpose. They maintained order through fear, reinforcing a strict hierarchy where every individual knew their limits. The Sican understood that control extended beyond physical pain. Breaking someone's spirit ensured they could no longer threaten the delicate balance of power. Beneath these harsh practices lay a culture, deeply obsessed with purity and obedience. Any deviation was met with overwhelming force, a testament to the tribe's need for stability in a world where divine favor was never guaranteed. Justice was less about fairness and more about survival, swift, merciless, and absolute, for the young men chosen to become warriors or priests. Pain was not punishment, it was a sacred passage. The Sican initiation rituals were extreme trials designed to strip away weakness and forge a new kind of power. Through piercing skin with sharp bone or obsidian, carving scars deep into flesh, and enduring relentless physical torment, these youths crossed a threshold between the ordinary and the divine. Every wound was a symbol, a mark of transformation that connected the initiate to ancestral spirits and gods. The pain was a language spoken in silence, proving loyalty and inner strength to both the community and the unseen forces that shaped their lives. Endurance of suffering became a test not just of the body, but of the spirit's readiness to carry sacred responsibilities. These rituals were brutal and unforgiving, Needles pierced lips, ears, and even tongues. Knives etched patterns across chests and arms. Bodies were pushed to the brink in displays of willpower and courage. The more intense the suffering endured, the greater the unearned pain was, understood as a purifying fire, burning away doubt and fear, leaving behind a soul prepared to face both mortal and spiritual battles. This connection to the spiritual world was crucial. The Sican believed that only through such rites could one gain the protection and wisdom of the gods. The initiation was a transformation, a rebirth into a role that demanded strength, discipline, and unwavering faith. Those who passed the trials were no longer mere mortals. They became living bridges between the human and the divine. The intensity of these rites reveals the tribe's deep belief in the power of suffering to create strength. Pain was not avoided but embraced as a necessary path to survival and honor. It shaped identity and forged a lasting bond with traditions passed down through generations. Beneath the visible world of gold and grandeur, the Sican hid shadows darker than any tomb. Secret cults whispered forbidden knowledge. Their rites failed. From common eyes, these clandestine groups wielded ancient beliefs in spirits, curses, and mystical punishments that shaped the unseen currents of power within the tribe. What thrived in silence was a realm ruled by fear of forces that could undo kings and commoners alike. Among the elite, knowledge of these dark powers was a currency more valuable than gold. Spirits were not only worshipped but feared as unpredictable beings capable of punishing even the mighty. Curses were real threats, woven carefully by priests and sorcerers to bind enemies or protect sacred secrets. Such beliefs enforced obedience, blending superstition with political control in a dangerous game of influence and terror. The mystical punishments believed to await those who crossed these secret laws were beyond physical. Pain, they promised, a torment that shattered the soul, curses that followed victims into dreams and waking life alike. These invisible chains kept the population in line. A psychological grip as powerful as any sword or whip. The power of unseen forces was enough to silence dissent and maintain order. This hidden world of fear and superstition reveals a deeper side of the Sican culture that relied not only on visible strength, but on the haunting power of mystery and belief. Their society was built on gold and shadow alike, where the brightest treasures masked the darkest secrets. The story of the Sican's mysterious rites closes here, leaving echoes of a people forever caught between the dazzling light of their creations and the deep shadows of their fears. Secrets of the Sogdian Tribe. Dark rituals and shocking traditions unveiled. Sogdians stood at the heart of the ancient Silk Route, weaving together the worlds of East and West with their caravans laden with silk, spices, and precious metals. Known as brilliant merchants, they shaped the flow of goods, ideas, and religions across vast deserts and mountain passes. But beneath this gleaming image of prosperity, a shadowed world thrived. One where dark rituals and harsh beliefs held equal sway, originating from the fertile valleys of Central Asia. The Sogdians built a complex society marked by strict hierarchies and deep spiritual fear. Their success in trade made them influential, but also targets for enemies and rivals. To protect themselves, the tribe clung to secret ceremonies that bound their community through fear and devotion. These rituals often involved terrifying acts, from blood oaths to sacrificial offerings, designed to call on invisible powers for strength and safety. The Sogdian worldview blended the material and the mystical. Every caravan journey, every contract signed, was seen as an act woven into a larger cosmic balance. Their shamans and priests wielded authority not only through spiritual knowledge, but through enforcing customs that outsiders flew. Indeed, brutal and strange, punishments for breaking tribal laws were severe, sometimes cruel beyond belief, reinforcing control through public spectacle. This mixture of commerce and spiritual terror was not a contradiction, but a survival strategy. The Sogdians understood that trust among traders could be fragile, and the invisible world unpredictable. Dark ceremonies, involving blood and pain, became the glue that held their society together, binding individuals to collective fate. Their daily lives echoed with a silent dread of unseen forces, demanding rituals to keep disaster at bay. These hidden customs, unknown to many outside their circle, allowed the Sogdians to thrive for centuries. Yet, the line between protection and fear was razor-thin. Their story is one of brilliant success shadowed by rituals that chill the spirit, a culture where the price of power was paid in blood and mystery. This dark heart of the Silk Road sets the stage for the chilling ceremonies that followed, where human sacrifice and terror became acts of faith. In the Sogdian world, human life could become the ultimate price for safety, far from random acts of violence. Human sacrifice was a solemn ritual woven deeply into their belief system. It was not cruelty for cruelty's sake, but a terrifying pact made to protect the tribe from unseen dangers, whether from hostile neighbors, disease, or the wrath of angry gods. Each offering was a dark promise, a desperate plea for favor and survival. The victims were often outsiders, captured enemies taken in battle, slaves seized in raids, or even members of the tribe who had broken sacred laws. Their selection was precise and ritualized, marked by signs believed to connect the chosen to divine will. This was no chaotic slaughter. It was a solemn act of devotion, meant to bridge the world of the living with the realm of spirits. The chosen were both feared and pitied, their fate sealed by powers beyond human control. Ceremonies unfolded with a grim, haunting beauty. Priests donned animal skins and painted vases, chanting in deep, rhythmic voices that echoed through stone temples or open deserts. The air thickened with smoke from burning herbs, the scent sharp and intoxicating. The crowd, bound by a mixture of awe and terror, watched as the sacrifice was prepared. Each movement, each word spoken, carried weight. The community's hopes rested on this moment. The act itself was swift but shrouded in symbolism. Blood spilled was seen as a powerful offering, a currency that could pay for protection, prosperity, and peace. It was believed that the spirits thirsted for life's essence, and only through such gifts could calamity be averted. The echo of these rituals stretched beyond the immediate moment, whispered warnings that the price of safety was never free. Fear and respect intertwined in the hearts of the Sogdians. The power of these sacrifices maintained order, bound the tribe in shared fate, and kept the shadows at bay. This brutal tradition was not just punishment or spectacle, but a vital thread in the fabric of their existence. It was a stark reminder that in this ancient world, protection demanded sacrifice, sometimes the greatest sacrifice of all. These dark rites set the stage for the extreme acts of devotion and pain that followed, where the body itself became a canvas of faith and terror. For the Sogdians, pain was not punishment, but a sacred passage, an agonizing path to purification and spiritual renewal. Ritual self-mutilation was a powerful act of devotion, believed to cleanse the soul and drive out evil forces that threatened the tribe's harmony. These extreme practices transformed the body into a living testament of faith, where each scar told a story of endurance and connection to the divine. Methods varied in their brutality. Some carved intricate patterns into their skin, using sharp stones or blades to draw blood and open flesh. Others branded their bodies with hot irons, searing symbols meant to mark them as protected and purified. The wounds were not hidden, but proudly displayed, signs of courage and spiritual strength that bound individuals to the tribe's ancient beliefs. These acts were more than physical trials, they were psychological journeys. Enduring pain required fierce mental discipline, a surrender to forces greater than oneself. the ritual scars became badges of honor, evidence of a person's willingness to suffer for the tribe's welfare. This shared suffering created deep bonds among participants, reinforcing loyalty and spiritual unity in the face of unseen dangers. Pain also functioned as a protective shield. The Sogdians believed that by inflicting wounds upon themselves, they could trap evil spirits and keep malevolent forces from entering their bodies or homes. The ritual scars acted like barriers. Sacred maps of resistance etched directly onto the flesh. Such beliefs made these gruesome ceremonies essential for both individual and communal survival. The intensity of these rituals left lasting marks not only on skin, but on minds and spirits. They shaped identities, reminding the tribe that spiritual purity demanded sacrifice, sometimes through the body's entrance of suffering. This intertwining of pain and faith revealed a culture where devotion was measured in blood and scars. From these agonizing rites emerged a harsh but deeply rooted understanding of power, one that led it. Oh, the realm of law and punishment, where fear and control became tools to maintain order within the tribe. Justice in Sogdian society was neither gentle nor forgiving. It was swift, ruthless, and designed to keep the tribe tightly controlled through fear. Laws were absolute, and punishments brutal, meant not only to punish the guilty, but to send clear warnings to all who might consider defying the tribe's strict codes. Order was maintained by harsh displays of power, where mercy was scarce, and consequences deadly. Mutilation was one of the most feared punishments. Fingers, ears, or noses were cruelly removed from those who broke sacred laws or betrayed the community. These acts left victims marked for life, both physically and socially, branding them as outcasts and serving as permanent reminders of their crimes. The loss of a body part was not only a punishment, but a message carved into flesh, visible proof of failure and disgrace. Exile was another terrifying fate. Those banished from the tribe were condemned to isolation in the harsh, unforgiving wilderness that surrounded Sogdian settlements, cut off from family and protection. Exile often meant a slow death, as survival depended on the community's resources and knowledge. This punishment erased a person's identity and place, stripping them of belonging and hope. Execution was the harshest justice, reserved for the gravest offenses like murder, betrayal, or sacrilege. Public executions were spectacles of fear and control, held in open squares or sacred grounds. The crowd's presence amplified the terror. These were not private acts, but communal rituals of power, reminding all of the price for crossing the tribe's strict boundaries. Beneath these brutal acts lay deep societal values. Justice was tied to survival and cohesion. The tribe believed that maintaining order through fear prevented chaos and external threats. The visible punishments reinforced the idea that no one was above the law, and that loyalty demanded obedience even at the cost of pain and loss. The chilling effects of such harsh justice were profound. While fear kept many in line, it also bred suspicion and tension, creating an undercurrent of dread that pulsed beneath daily life. Trust was fragile, and every punishment echoed as a warning that the cost of defiance was extreme. This balance of terror and order shaped the Sogdian world, preparing the ground for their complex beliefs about death and the afterlife, where justice and ritual intertwined in heaven for the Sogdians. Death was a gateway to another realm of passage, fraught with danger that required careful navigation. The soul's journey beyond the mortal world was never left to chance. Elaborate burial rites and rituals were essential to ensure safe passage and to protect both the living and the dead from restless spirits and dark forces lurking beyond the veil. Burials were solemn affairs, marked by intricate ceremonies filled with symbolism. The dead were carefully laid to rest with objects meant to serve them in the afterlife. Weapons for protection, jewelry for status, and food to sustain their spirits. These grave goods were more than possessions. They were keys to to survival in a world invisible to the living but feared with profound intensity. The Sogdians believed that the soul could become trapped or lost if proper rites were neglected. To prevent this, priests performed rituals to guide the departed safely, chanting ancient prayers and burning incense to cleanse the air. These acts were thought to ward off malevolent spirits eager to claim wandering souls or to torment the living. Every movement in the ceremony was deliberate, designed to maintain balance between worlds. Certain burial practices bordered on the eerie. Some graves were sealed with protective symbols carved into stone or wood, while others included talismans intended to confuse or repel evil entities. The fear of spiritual harm extended even to the living, who might suffer misfortune if the dead were displeased or disturbed. This deep respect and fear of death shaped the community's relationship with mortality. Death was never a private moment for the Sogdians, but a collective event that reinforced their beliefs and bonds. The rituals round death revealed a culture obsessed with the unseen, where life and death were intertwined in a cycle governed by strict spiritual laws. These practices left a haunting legacy, a reminder that the boundary between worlds was thin, and crossing it demanded vigilance and reverence. From these haunting rites emerged a tribe shaped by mystery and fear, where the dark heart of their traditions held sway over every step of life and beyond. Though the Sogdian tribe vanished centuries ago, the echoes of their dark rituals still ripple through the cultures that grew along the Silk Road. These ancient practices, once terrifying and sacred, left imprints in folklore, local customs, and the collective memory of peoples spanning from Central Asia to the edges of China. The shadows of their beliefs continue to inspire both fear and fascination, hinting at a past where the boundary between the natural and supernatural was dangerously thin. Stories passed down through generations tell of blood sacrifices, terrifying punishments, and rituals of pain, tales told not just as history but as warnings. In some remote villages, echoes of Sogdian customs appear in ceremonies meant to protect against evil spirits or in symbols carved into homes and temples. These remnants suggest that the need to control fear through ritual is a universal thread, one that binds humanity across time and geography. The legacy of the Sogdians is more than cultural curiosity. It reveals deep truths about human nature. Their extreme rituals show how societies cope with uncertainty, danger, and death by creating order through fear and sacrifice. These practices, as harsh as they seem, offered stability and meaning in a world filled with threats both seen and unseen. Modern fascination with the Sogdian tribe's rituals reflects a broader quest to understand the roots of belief and the lengths to which humans will go to survive spiritually and physically. It challenges contemporary viewers to consider how ancient fears shape present-day customs, and how the need for a protection can lead to both beauty and horror. In this lingering shadow of the past, the Sogdians remind us that beneath the surface of civilization lies a deep, often unsettling connection to the unknown. Their story is a haunting mirror, reflecting the eternal human struggle between light and darkness. Faith and fear, a struggle that continues to this day. Inside the Shuar Tribe, shocking rituals and unseen traditions of Africa's fiercest warriors in the shadowed borderlands between Ethiopia and South Sudan. The Shuar Tribe stands as one of the most striking and unyielding peoples on earth, known for their fierce independence. The Shuar live where the land is harsh and unforgiving, shaping a culture built on endurance, strength, and survival. Their world is one where every ritual, every scar, and every gesture carries meaning beyond the surface. To outsiders, the Shuar's customs often seem shocking, extreme tests of pain and courage that defy modern understanding. From a young age, members of the tribe face rituals that push their bodies and spirits to the brink. The Shuar are famous for the bold marks they wear, lip plates stretched painfully over months, deep scars etched into skin through deliberate cuts. and elaborate body painting that transforms flesh into living art. These are not mere decorations, but badges of identity and resilience. Every scar and painted line speaks of trials endured and battles won, both physical and spiritual. Yet beneath this visible toughness lies a complex social fabric. The tribe's rituals enforce more than tradition, they cement loyalty, establish social ranks, and prepare members for the brutal realities of life on the frontier. Men prove their worth in dangerous stick-fighting duels known as donga, while women endure body modification seen as the highest form of beauty and commitment. Pain is not punishment, but passage, a necessary step toward respect and belonging. The Sori's relationship with their environment mirrors their internal toughness. Living where food and water are scarce, the tribe's rituals often involve elements of sacrifice and endurance that reflect the constant battle for survival. These extreme customs serve both to honor their ancestors and to prepare the living for the hardships ahead. Each act, no matter how fierce or unsettling, is woven tightly into the tribe's identity. The shock felt by outsiders fades when understanding grows. The Sori are not simply a group defined by brutal rites, but guardians of a legacy, an ancient way of life clinging fiercely to its roots despite the encroaching forces of change. Their rituals reveal a people shaped by struggle, bound by tradition, determined to survive on their own terms. This brutal legacy sets the stage for the tribe's most visible and unsettling customs, the extreme body modifications that carry stories of pain, pride, and power. Among the most striking sights of the Suri tribe are the enormous lip plates worn by women, a tradition that commands both fascination and disbelief. From early adolescence, girls begin the painful journey of lip stretching, starting with a small incision that widens over months and years. The original wound is gradually stretched to accommodate heavy clay or wooden discs, some as wide as several inches. This slow, agonizing transformation is not mere decoration, it is a profound symbol of beauty, strength, and social standing within the tribe. The lip plate signals more than attractiveness. It marks a girl's passage into womanhood, a visible declaration of her family's wealth and status. Larger plates often mean higher bride prices and greater respect. But behind the surface of this cultural emblem lies months of enduring pain and discomfort. The lips become raw and swollen, and the process can cause difficulty eating and speaking. This physical hardship is embraced willingly, seen as a test of commitment to tribal values and identity. Scarification complements the lip plate as another powerful form of self-expression and cultural storytelling. Both men and women carve intricate patterns into their skin using sharpened tools, creating raised scars that serve as living tattoos. These designs are never random, they communicate personal history, bravery in battle, social rank, and rites of passage. The pain inflicted during scarification is integral. It honors endurance and the ability to withstand suffering. Each scar tells a tale of battles fought, challenges overcome, or family lineage. The process itself often involves rhythmic cutting, sometimes accompanied by chants or songs that bind the individual to the community's shared history. Unlike tattoos, these scars cannot be hidden. They demand visibility and recognition. Together, lip plates and scarification redefine beauty and strength on the Sori's own terms. These extreme body modifications confront modern Western ideas of attractiveness, forcing a recognition that cultural values are deeply rooted in history, survival, and social cohesion. What may seem bizarre or unsettling to outsiders is, for the Sori, a sacred language of identity, one spoken in flesh, pain, and pride. This extraordinary display of endurance and cultural pride prepares the way for another fierce tradition, the donga, a brutal stick-fighting ritual that tests courage and manhood. In the heart of Sori culture lies the donga, a fierce, ritualized combat that shapes the very essence of manhood. This brutal stick-fighting tradition is not simply a sport, but a rite of passage that demands rock courage and physical strength. Young men face each other armed only with long, heavy sticks, their bodies bare and painted with white clay patterns that serve as both camouflage and spiritual armor. Every blow landed, every dodge executed, is a test of skill, endurance, and honor. The donga is more than individual combat. It is a vital social event where conflicts between villages or families are settled without blood feuds that could spiral into long-lasting wars. The fight is battled fiercely, aiming to injure without killing but serious wounds, broken bones, and even death or grim realities. Each scar in the donga is a badge of bravery, proof that a man is worthy of respect and leadership within. The tribe dot beyond physical prowess. The donga carries deep symbolic meaning. It is a public declaration of maturity, marking the transition from boyhood into manhood. Victorious warriors gain status, winning admiration from peers and potential marriage partners. The intense violence reflects a society where survival depends on strength and resilience, where weakness can mean exclusion or death. For the Sori, the donga is a living embodiment of these harsh truths. The ritual also reinforces bonds within the community. Spectators gather, chanting and singing, sharing in the tension and triumph. The fight builds solidarity, reminding all participants of their shared identity and the importance of courage. Even those who do not fight respect the warriors' sacrifices and endurance. The donga's brutal legacy reveals a tribe where honor and survival are inseparable, and where violence is both feared and revered. It is a world far removed from modern sensibilities, a place where the body is a battleground, and respect is earned in blood and sweat. This fierce contest of strength and spirit leads naturally into another vital form of expression. Among the Sori, the elaborate and symbolic body painting that shields warriors and women alike in both battle and spirit, before stepping into battle or ceremony. The Suri transform their bodies into living canvases of swirling white paint. This striking body painting is far more than decoration. It serves as a powerful form of spiritual armor and practical camouflage, using crushed white clay mixed with water. The paint is carefully applied in intricate patterns that echo the natural shapes of the surrounding bushlands. The twisting lines and dots break up the body's outline, making warriors harder to see among the shadows and dry grasses for the Sori. This ritual is deeply tied to belief and protection. The white patterns are thought to shield the wearer from evil spirits that lurk in the wilderness, guarding them against harm both seen and unseen. Applying the paint is a sacred act, often accompanied by quiet concentration or communal chants that connect the individual to their ancestors and the spiritual world. This process can take hours, turning the body into a symbol of power, identity, and defense. The patterns are not random. Each design carries meaning, sometimes signaling status, clan, or recent accomplishments. The bold white contrasts sharply with the dark skin, transforming the wearer into a figure both beautiful and fearsome. In this painted form, Sori men prepare for the donga fights, while women display their strength and resilience throughout that marks their place in the tribe. This body painting connects the physical and spiritual realms, showing how the Sori understand strength as more than muscle and bone. It is a shield woven from tradition, faith, and community, a silent prayer painted onto flesh. The warrior's body becomes a living fortress, ready to face the dangers of the harsh land and the spirits that dwell within it. The intensity of this ritual offers a glimpse into the tribe's complex relationship with pain, protection, and power, a foundation for understanding the severe punishments that maintain order within their fiercely independent society. In the Suri tribe, where independence is prized above all, order is maintained not through written laws or distant authorities, but by harsh and often brutal punishments rooted in centuries-old tradition. These severe measures may appear cruel to outsiders, yet they serve as vital tools to preserve social harmony in a community where survival depends on mutual respect and clear boundaries. Public humiliation is one of the most feared punishments. Offenders may be exposed before the entire village, stripped of dignity as a warning to others. The weight of communal judgment cuts deep, reinforcing the power of social shame in a society that values reputation above all. This form of punishment binds individuals tightly to the tribe's shared values, making wrongdoing not just a personal failure, but a public betrayal. Corporal punishment is another harsh reality. Physical beatings or forced labor are meted out for serious offenses, reminding everyone that actions carry consequences. The pain endured is a lesson in responsibility and obedience, a necessary cost in a world where weak discipline could mean chaos or death. These punishments are carefully measured to enforce respect without shattering the social fabric. Behind these extreme punishments lies a delicate balance. The Suri cherish their freedom fiercely, yet that freedom comes with unspoken rules and expectations. The tribal code demands loyalty, bravery, and honesty. Failures to uphold these invite swift and unforgiving correction. In a place far from formal justice systems, this tribal enforcement ensures survival and cohesion. These traditions reveal a society where strength is not only physical but moral, where punishment is both a deterrent and a reaffirmation of shared values. In the Suri's world, harshness is intertwined with caraway to protect the tribe from internal collapse in a harsh and unpredictable land. Understanding these severe customs leads to a deeper look at the Suri's spiritual and economic life, where cattle hold a sacred place as symbols of wealth, power, and ancestral connection for the Suri tribe. Cattle are far more than animals raised for food or trade. They are living symbols of wealth, status, and spiritual power. The size of a man's herd can determine his influence within the community, while cattle themselves serve as sacred links to ancestors and the unseen world. These animals are the lifeblood of the tribe, woven deeply into the fabric of daily life and ritual. Cattle play a central role in the tribe's most important ceremonies during marriages. Cattle are exchanged as bride price, solidifying bonds between families and clans. The number and quality of cattle offered reflect respect and social standing, turning livestock into currency of honor at funerals. Cattle sacrifices are made to honor the dead and ensure safe passage into the afterlife. Blood spilled in these rituals is believed to carry the prayers and intentions of the living to ancestral spirits. The sacred value of cattle extends beyond economics into the spiritual realm. The Suri believe that the animals possess a power that connects the living to their ancestors, linking generations through shared stewardship and respect. This connection is maintained through careful rituals that treat cattle not just as possessions, but as vital participants in the tribe's survival and well-being. The practice of bloodletting and sacrifice also reveals the tribe's understanding of balance between life and death. Blood is life's essence, and offering it in ritual acts is both a gift and a plea for protection. These ceremonies are solemn and powerful, blending grief, hope, and reverence in ways that transcend simple explanation. In the Suri worldview, cattle embody the fragile thread between the material and spiritual worlds. They are living bridges that sustain identity, tradition, and survival. This deep reverence sets the stage for a final reflection on how these ancient customs endure in the face of a rapidly changing world, where the Suri fight to keep their brutal legacy alive. The Suri tribe stands at a crossroads between ancient tradition and an encroaching modern world. Despite growing outside influences, government policies, tourism, and new technologies, the tribe holds tightly to customs that outsiders often find extreme, even incomprehensible. These practices are not relics of the past but living, breathing parts of Suri identity, fiercely defended as the foundation of their community and survival. This stubborn preservation creates a fragile tension. Younger generations face choices between embracing their heritage or adapting to new ways that promise safety and opportunity. Elders insist that abandoning rituals like lip plating, donga fighting, or cattle sacrifice risks severing vital links to ancestors and the tribe's spiritual core. Yet the pressures of modern life education, health care, and economic change pull in a different direction. Challenging the entrance of these brutal customs, observers often react with shock, judgment, or pity, failing to grasp the depth and meaning behind the Sori's extreme rituals. Beneath the surface lies a complex system of values where pain, endurance, and community define beauty, strength, and belonging. The tribe's customs demand more than tolerance, they require empathy and an understanding that cultural survival can mean embracing practices that seem cruel or bizarre through an outside lens. The Sori's story is one of resilience not only against nature's hardships, but against a world eager to erase tea. A way of life, their brutal legacy persists because it is tied to identity, honor, and the raw realities of survival. This ongoing struggle reveals the complexity of cultural preservation in a globalized age and challenges assumptions about progress and civilization. As the Sori navigate this uncertain path, their traditions stand as a stark reminder: culture is not static or simple, but a living force shaped by history, environment, and human will. To truly understand the Sori is to confront discomfort, question bias, and recognize that beneath their shocking rituals lies a powerful story of survival. Against all odds,